Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théâtres, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ma fleur, sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, qu'il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte.
Hey, can we talk about Rod Rosenstein?
Go for it.
I mean, no, because I think people who haven't come, who are new this hour. Rosenstein gave a speech yesterday where he talked about the principle of if you're not charged, the government says nothing. The clear implication being that the Mueller report will not include anything about people who were not charged, including and especially Donald Trump. What makes that so bizarre is that Donald Trump is president of the United States. There is a Justice Department policy that says he can't be indicted. Mm-hmm. So is Rosenstein saying, well, A, he can't be indicted, and B, if you're not indicted, you can't say anything about the person, so that means we can't hear anything about Donald Trump?
And also,
that would be a bizarre scenario.
It's also awfully convenient that now they're going to enforce the rule of not putting out any derogatory information, where we know that all committees from judiciary on down have gotten hundreds of thousands of pages of transparency and what that they've asked for on people who were not indicted, like Andrew McCabe, Hillary Clinton. I could go on.
Absolutely, but it's a reaction to that. I mean, the way I read what Rod Rosenstein said was, we're not going to have a James Comey situation here. Fall of 2016 or summer of 2016, he goes out and gives a press conference and says, I'm not going to indict Hillary Clinton, but here are all the 10 reasons why she's a horrible person.
So Donald Trump wins both ways. They trash out.
I mean,
I gotta say,
it wouldn't be the first time that Donald Trump.
But there are three. Hang on a second. There are three separate issues here. There's number one. There's what Comey did when he was running the FBI before the election, and that's one thing that people will point to. There's what DOJ did since Donald Trump has been president in turning over documents to these various congressional committees, sometimes reluctantly, but they have turned over a lot of things that have become public through subpoenas and through discussions with Bob Goodlatte and Trey Gowdy when they were there. And then there's the third issue, which is that if the president can't be charged, then are they basically saying we're not going to give you anything, full stop? I mean, there are three separate bars there.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, David.
No, I was just saying, the one difference is between Comey and this situation is that this involves the independent counsel.
Yeah.
And the precedent here goes back to the impeachment of President Clinton and the Starr report and what was released. And there does seem to be a reaction to that, which could be a minimalist reaction to what's actually released to Congress and released publicly. But that's separate from guidelines that, in the Comey's case, it says if you're not going to charge somebody, then you don't talk about it. This is, I think, a different case.
I mean, we have the whole FISA documents. We have all the stuff on Carter Page, which Republicans demanded. Carter Page hasn't been charged with anything. So again, that's,
know a lot about him.
Remember that. So the bar is there for that.
Yeah, so Jeffrey, I mean, that's the point, is that they now seem to be applying a different rule about derogatory information.
That's right. And also the regulation, the special counsel regulation, was written in response to the Starr report.
Exactly.
The Starr report was perceived, especially by Democrats, that too much information came out. So they wrote this regulation, which actually suggests a very narrow scope for the report by the special counsel. If, in fact, it is a narrow scope, and it's written somewhat ambiguously, that may wind up limiting what Democrats want to know about Donald Trump.
It is Wednesday, the 27th of February of 2019, and you are in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. I am your chef de cuisine, Justice Putnam, and our daily special is Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. Will no one rid me of this priest? Oh, speaking of priests, it looks like Cardinal Pell's behind bars. Well, it's about time. And that's down under. And I'm not making a joke. Okay. So hope you write your St. Valentine's love letter while you're thinking about all the evil that you've done. You God. I have to say, it's not really news. Everybody thinks that the Marquis de Sade, is some sort of terrible, kinky guy. Well, yeah, maybe he might have been. But he was really chronicling the practices of the Catholic Church. So, I'm just putting things in perspective here, okay? Go after the messenger. The messenger was a little touched also, but still. He was chronicling the behaviors of the church at the time. And that was often encompassed the concept of really kidnapping kids and making them into sex slaves. It was the weirdest thing. So it's not as if it was news, okay, about Cardinal Pell and all this other stuff that has been coming out, all right? We've been looking at you, even those of us who like the concept of a Catholic Church, it being the literal definition being universal. Like the universal mind. So Jungian. All right. Well, what a day. I mean, Michael Cohen is testifying. I have to say, I had to put myself in a bubble once I start doing this. We've curated the stories. We have some Michael Cohen related type stories if you want to get into the whole Trump debacle. Yeah. And that's another thing. Speaking about not ever a secret. I mean, really, even when he had his stupid TV show, people knew he was a crook. He played on it. Jeez. And I have to say, I don't like the idea of American business, big American business, being aligned, structured, or even made jokes about having, a mob structure. We don't need that. Okay. I mean, it may be that that's how it is. But I think we should change it. Call me a Boy Scout. I am. All right? Do the right thing. Jeez. Why is that such a terrible thing to embark upon? Do the right thing. And doing the right thing is not threatening to break someone's legs. That is not doing the right thing. Believe me. Jeez. Topsy-turvy, isn't it? Well. We do have a curated show for you. And at the top, there's some big questions about Rod Rosenstein and his inclinations. I've been telling everybody, I'm good. This is another I told you so. All right. Don't try to make bank on Rod. And don't try to make bank on Bob either. I got to tell you. It will be a bizarre scenario if Rosenstein rules that Trump cannot even be mentioned in the Mueller report because, he's a U.S. citizen. Notice how they always referred to him before he became president as Citizen Trump. But whatever he did as citizen doesn't really count because now he's God Trump, the president. Where even Washington said, hey, elevating me to the level of royalty, I don't think that's a good idea. And now we've relegated this guy, elevated him, what? To the lofty climbs of God status. What is this? Egypt? Rome? Greece? Jeez. I don't know. Maybe it plays well in Peoria, but I doubt it. Really now. See, that's the thing. The Russians and anybody else that tries to really attack us, we have a story on Maria Butina here. I mean, these people that try to infiltrate our way of life, well, maybe they do have to be here for generations. Curious, isn't it? I don't even want to go there, but let me just say this. They're never going to get the nuances of our lifestyle. Trust me. God, that's why online, the way you can tell if it's a bot or a troll, well, trolls are, actually people, but it really works well on bots. I've totally diminished the bot deluge by really just, it was only a joke when I started off, because it is a joke. There's a Firesign Theater scene in we're all bozos on this bus. Yeah, look it up, okay? And there's a question that shuts down the computer at the the fun zone that everybody's going to. And that question is, why does the porridge bird lay his egg in the air? A very nonsensical question, doesn't make any sense. And in the storyline of the Firesign Theater skit, it shut that computer down. And lo and behold, bots don't know how to respond to that. And I got to tell you, MAGA trolls don't either, because it takes a certain level of, brain capacity to be able to tell what sarcasm is sometimes even, huh? God. People. And I'm one of them. Eek. Well, what's on the rest of the menu here? In the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, prosecutors say they are still getting help from Russian spy Maria Butina. Yeah, she's cooperating. And her lawyers are like, no, wait a second. No, just convict her, sentence her, deport her, because we need to get paid. She's promised us she knows some rich Russians. And they said if we just put $12,000 in an account for, just to show like good faith, then we're going to get paid. Sounds like a Nigerian pyramid scheme to me, but in Russian. Weird. I don't know. A new report reveals that Jared Kushner may have lied to Congress about his shady security clearance, and I would only correct that by probably taking out that may have lied. He lied, and apparently bunches of times. And the woman who said, "Hey, Jared Kushner lied," yeah, she's out of a job, and they're like hammering her. Damn, it's really crazy. And speaking of crazy, 182 Republicans chose Trump over the Constitution on his fake emergency at the southern border. Yeah, let's just shred the Constitution. What is it? I don't know. Party loyalty is much more important because we need more tax cuts. Well, you know what's going to happen? If you don't have a country, you don't have even a reason to have a tax. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe they all think they're a personal warlord in their mind. I bet that's really what it is. After the break, we then move to the chef's table, where the U.S. military disrupted the internet access of a Russian troll farm on the day of the November midterm election. And Colorado Governor Jared Polis took a bold step in a plan to end the undemocratic Electoral College. All that and more on West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit. Sound a little loopy here starting off. It's probably because I'm a little loopy. I was up kind of late last night trying to figure out a show to do while Cohen is testifying, and too many of the Netroots Radio staff are out of town, so couldn't put it together to try to figure out how to link up. I entertained the idea of possibly having Cohen testimony during this block, but we'll do this show. And I would suggest, if you don't want to listen to the show live here, which is stupid of me to be telling people to do this, but you could just wait and listen to the pod. We do make the pods, so your choice. Okay. Thank you for listening, however you do. Which reminds me, at the bottom of our homepage at netrootsradio.com, to the rightish of the page is the chat room link. Check in there. Kelly Lincoln monitors that. Thank you, Kelly. To the leftish of the chat room link at the bottom of our homepage at netrootsradio.com is the contribute button. Do, please become a recurring Patreon of Netroots Radio. We are saving our dollar cents and the recurring contributions that you have been so generous in providing, so that we need to get some equipment. Things wear out, even when they don't have very many moving parts. Heat can destroy things. Amazing. And I apologize for the fan sounds from the computers around here, because there's some fan sounds in the computers in the studio, and that's an indication or indicative of the wear and tear that they've been put under. They've done well. Almost like Spirit and Opportunity. Yeah, we like them. And so if you would like to, please, once again, thank you for your generosity in becoming a recurring Patreon to Netroots Radio. It keeps everything humming, and we'll like it humming even a little bit quieter real soon. Thank you. Do follow Netroots Radio on Twitter at Netroots Radio. Tom takes care of that platform and admirably, and we're so happy he does. Follow me on Twitter at Justice Putnam. I take care of that because I do. The show notes and links diary is posted about 10 minutes before showtime on Daily Co's, and I attempt to get links on that on social media as soon as I can, hopefully before showtime. You can also pick up podcasts of the show by way of Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, YouTube, and I guess I should say also you can follow Netroots Radio on Twitter at Cookbook West. Okay, a little bit out of order, but I think I got it all in. Okay, let's get on with this first offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Smothered Benedict Wednesdays, by the way. Well, Joshua Eden does bring us this first offering here in the Bistro Cafe. Russian gun rights activist. I don't know what that means. There's no gun rights activism in Russia. It's a front to get a bunch of, dupes and idiots from America. Okay, and they did it pretty good. Religion and guns. Jesus. But she is also a spy, Maria Butina. But she's still cooperating with federal prosecutors, and the government said that in court yesterday, because Judge Tanya S. Chutkin is now put off setting a date for Butina's sentencing after Assistant U.S. Attorney Jonathan Kravis told the court that her cooperation was ongoing. Now, I don't think that, really, think about this. Her lawyers are literally banking on her getting sentenced, released because of time served, and kicked out of the country, and then she'll get paid. They will get paid. I don't know if I'd want those kind of lawyers who are thinking like that. Do you? And I also don't think that she really wants to go back to Russia. Really? Cooperating with the feds? Yeah. There's those convenient fatal muggings that seem to occur to people like Maria who give up the goods. It's happened before. Well, she pleaded guilty last December to one count of conspiracy to act as an unregistered foreign agent. In earlier times, more, quaint times, we call that being a spy. In court filings, prosecutors said Butina worked with another person believed to be sanctioned Russian politician Alexander Torshin to infiltrate conservative political circles, including the National Rifle Association and Donald Trump's campaign. From our perspective, we're pretty much ready to go with cooperation, Butina's lawyer Robert Driscoll told the court after Kravis spoke. But he also said Butina and her lawyers understand where the prosecution is coming from, that's a quote, and acknowledge that the government may need his client's cooperation in the future. Well, that set off a sidebar between the two parties at the judge's bench. Static played over loudspeakers in the courtroom as reporters craned to see Kravis and Driscoll speaking with Chutkan. Afterward, the judge announced that she was delaying setting a date for the sentencing. Well, the news comes after Driscoll told Russia's state-run TASS news agency last week that he expected the judge to sentence Butina within the next 2 to 6 weeks. Although Chutkan, the judge, granted the government's request to delay setting a sentencing date, she said she understands the defense concerns about how long Butina has been held. Ms. Butina has been detained for a substantial portion of whatever sentence she is likely to serve, the judge conceded. Butina is expected back in court for another status hearing on March 28th, though Kravis said the government may instead ask for sentencing in early April. Butina has already surrendered her passport to ICE to expedite her expedition after sentencing, her lawyer told Russian news agency TASS last week. Our hope would be that she'll receive a sentence that will be equivalent to the time already served, and that she will be released and deported soon after that. Cody Fenwick of Alternet brings us this next offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. With the investigatory power of the House of Representatives, Democrats have a long list of probes of the Trump administration that they plan to pursue. For many, the White House's shady behavior around security clearances, particular for Donald Trump's family, is near the top of the list. And according to a new report from Pundit Fact, it appears there is significant evidence suggesting Jared Kushner may have already lied to Congress about a security clearance application, which could constitute a crime. It only constitutes a crime when you're not rich and mobbed up like this family is, of course. In this reporter's opinion, Pundit Fact noted that it came across a key discrepancy when reviewing his past statements on the matter. Kushner's security clearance first raised suspicions because he initially turned it in without listing any foreign contacts, of which he had more than 100. Because, look, in the universe that Kushner and the Trumps move in that society, you don't let that stuff be known. I mean, they're crooks. However, Pundit Fact noted that at least 2 reports found that Kushner didn't actually update his list of foreign contacts until mid-May of 2017. Well, after the press raised questions about it, if he was purposely trying to deceive Congress about this matter, he could be found guilty of a federal crime. The same crime that Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen and Roger Stone have been charged with. Well. The report also noted that even at Kushner's reported revisions in May, Trump's son-in-law didn't reveal the infamous Trump Tower meeting with a Russian lawyer promising dirt on Clinton in June 2016. He reportedly disclosed it in June of 2017 when reporters began to dig up information about it. And Trump Jr. then released the details of the meeting. S.I. Martin of Share Blue Media brings us this final offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. Despite Republican opposition, the House of Representatives passed a resolution last night terminating Trump's fake national emergency declaration. The resolution passed by a vote of 245 to 182, with every single no vote coming from Republicans. And of course, the Republicans on the House Committee, Oversight Committee, have been throwing up procedural roadblocks throughout the hearing this morning, because that's what they do. They know how to obstruct. They don't know how to legislate or govern. Now, even as many Republicans sided with Trump, a bipartisan majority in the House, with 13 Republicans voting with the Democratic majority, still delivered Trump an embarrassing rebuke. The resolution was necessary because of Trump's reckless power grab after Democrats refused to allocate $5.7 billion to build a border wall Trump promised that Mexico would pay for. And of course, he was joking then, and he says, well, I was joking. I'm joking. Well, you're joking now too, buddy, but we're not. After signing a funding bill without his requested funds, a petulant Trump declared a national emergency at the southern border. Well, dozens of national security experts pointed out Trump's blatant lies, saying there is no national security crisis at the border. Even former Republican members of Congress pleaded with current Republican members to side with the Democrats, arguing that Trump was trampling all over the separation of powers laid forth in the Constitution. And I think many of them are saying, look, we have too many rubles to account for, and separation of powers, we don't have time to deal with that, in this reporter's opinion. With this vote, Congress is doing nothing more than affirming and upholding the Constitution, which gives Congress, not the president, the duty to allocate funding priorities. But 182 Republicans opted to disregard their oath to uphold the Constitution, choosing party over country. Republican opposition is the height of hypocrisy, as even Republicans themselves admit. As Representative Mike Simpson of Idaho said, I'll be real honest. If Obama had done this, Republicans would be going nuts. That's just the reality, he added. The resolution now moves on to the Senate, where Majority Leader Mitch McConnell must schedule a vote in the coming weeks, putting all senators on record as to where they stand. Nancy is so good, isn't she? The White House is already seeing several Republican senators defect, causing Trump to freak out. And who knows what he's going to do over in Vietnam right now. Jeez. In a desperate move, Trump tweeted out a demand that Republicans show their loyalty to him no matter what, even if it means breaking their oath to protect and defend the Constitution. And in this reporter's opinion, especially if it means breaking their oath to protect and defend the Constitution. Especially. Well, in the coming weeks, we will learn who is loyal to the Constitution and who chooses to swear fealty to Trump. And we have a pretty good idea who those are. With a Republican, you cannot appeal to their sense of loyalty to the Constitution. No, you have to hit them where it hurts, and that's losing their position in the Congress. All right, that's how we get to them. And there's a lot of people, constituents, their own constituents who vote for them. And they're getting, they're changing their minds about this whole scenario, too. I told you so. All right, let's get to our break. Yes, it's time for our break. And when we come back, we'll go through weather from around the world. And then we are going to finish up with the stories that we've curated for you today. You are listening to West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. And we will be right back.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again. From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Clinton Johnston. This week, she gives you her heart. 20th Century Fox has just given us Robert Rodriguez's Alita Battle Angel. It comes from a 1990-95 manga series by Kishiro Yukito named Gun Dream. Gun Dream starts with a roboticist in a post-apocalyptic future who finds the head of a young female cyborg. He revives her and names her Alita. She cannot remember her past identity, but she can remember a legendary school of martial arts. Becoming a bounty hunter, she struggles between her desire to defend the defenseless and the bloodlust she experiences while doing so. The series was renamed Battle Angel Alita in its English translation and became a classic, and of course, James Cameron liked it. Of course he liked it, secured the rights, and has been sitting on those rights forever because Alita falls right in line with James Cameron's female characters. Lindsay Brigham in The Abyss, Ridley in Aliens, Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. Cameron likes warrior women, especially if they have non-traditional female exteriors but are driven by traditionally feminine motives, a romantic pursuit or maternal instinct. If you'll forgive me, I wonder if these characters reflect how Cameron sees himself. He says he thinks himself an innately nice guy, yet other people have described him as an ambitious, short-fused, willful, obsessive, and controlling dick. The crew on The Abyss famously made up t-shirts for themselves that said, "You can't scare me, I work for James Cameron." This dickishness is why I'm glad that Cameron has set up Alita Battle Angel, but Rodriguez has brought it home. Sometimes Cameron films are like really old chocolates, and yes, I know he's responsible for the top-grossing romance movie of all time, but sometimes for me, it's hard to get to his film's sweet, soft, gooey center. But Rodriguez believes that science fiction blockbusters fail when they become so far out they cease to be relatable. Yes, Weta from Avatar does peerless motion capture of Rosa Salazar's cool performance, but it's Rodriguez making sure that, like the movie's main character, all its technical brilliance sits around a powerful beating heart. This has been Take Two Movie Review. I'm Clinton Johnston. Catch up with us at TakeTwoMovieReview.com and feed us back on our page on YouTube.
This is Scientific American's 60-Second Science. I'm Christopher Intagliata.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
50 years ago this July, when Apollo 11 made its historic landing on the moon, Houston heard the news almost instantaneously, within a second or so. That won't be the case for human astronauts exploring Mars, where the one-way delay in communications could be anywhere from 4 to 24 minutes, which will make it nearly impossible to carry on a normal conversation. The result is that Martian astronauts will need to operate with a degree of autonomy space travelers have never had. Leslie DeChurch is a professor of communication and psychology at Northwestern University, and she's studied the psychology and collective intelligence of simulated astronaut teams here on Earth.
Not only did they live in isolation and confinement in an analog, but they spent approximately 30% of their time experiencing what we call extreme communication delay, meaning that between 30 seconds and 5 minutes one way was the fastest that they could have any communication go beyond just the other 3 crew members that were inside their habitat.
She spoke February 17th at a session called Building a Winning Team for Missions to Mars at a meeting of the American Association for the Advancement of Science in Washington, D.C.
The 9 teams that we studied all showed improvements on what we would call behavioral dimensions of collective performance. That is, their ability to time, coordinate, sequence, psychomotor activities improved. But let's talk a little bit about the bad news. As the teams remained in isolation and confinement for longer periods of time, their performance on what we call conceptual domains of performance, their ability to think together, to combine expertise, to solve problems creatively, declined with increasing time in isolation. Importantly, this is exactly what autonomy is going to necessitate of these future brave space explorer teams. They will be the ones who will have to autonomously carry out creative thinking, problem solving, and decision making with minimal assistance, or at best remote assistance from teams back on Earth.
The hope is, by studying these simulations here on Earth, we'll have a better idea which astronaut teams truly have the right stuff for a new era of space exploration. Thanks for listening. For Scientific American's 60-Second Science, I'm Christopher Intagliata.
Hi, it's Tom. Could we humbly suggest your donation to netrootsradio.com? All we've got to run this 24-hour powerhouse of progressive resistance radio is what comes out of our own wallets. And you are our biggest donor. And it doesn't take much, $3, $5. Just go to the bottom of our netrootsradio.com page and hit our secure donate button. Heck, you can even make a recurring contribution, and you'll get a wondiferous pair of Netroots radio stickers for application to your backpack, your bumper sticker, or your banjo. Well, it's up to you which backpack you want to put it on. So donate what you'd like at the bottom of our netrootsradio.com's homepage, because you are our biggest donor. netrootsradio.com. Together, we are Resistance Radio.
A Big Booby Award given to a girl high school student, a member of the cheerleading squad, by the coaches? Are you kidding me? I'm Bill Newman, and this is the Civil Liberties Minute, and that is a real thing that happened. A mock award at the Tremper High School in Kenosha, Wisconsin. All in good fun, according to the coaches, but not fun at all, or appropriate, or illegal, according to parents, students, some other coaches at the school, and the ACLU. A female coach wrote an email to the school administration saying that it didn't take, quote, much to see that this is extremely degrading to women. Women athletes shouldn't be paraded in public like that. A mother said she wanted, quote, for these girls to be treated with respect. I don't think that's too much to ask. And Emma Roth, an attorney with the ACLU Women's Rights Project, said, quote, it's important that we intervene at a young age and that girls are taught their worth and are treated equally. When this doesn't happen, they carry this message for the rest of their life. In response, so far, the school has agreed to cease giving out these degrading mock awards in the future. The ACLU has demanded that the district appropriately discipline the cheerleading coaches and has called for mandatory anti-harassment training and other remedial steps and has threatened litigation. The Civil Liberties Minute is made possible by the ACLU because freedom can't protect itself.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1939. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that sit-down strikes were illegal. If you're a regular listener of Labor History in 2, last month you may have heard how sit-down strikes had become an important tactic for workers in the 1930s. By sitting down on the job and occupying a factory, workers could force the bosses to recognize the legal right of workers to unionize. In 1936, the workers at the Fan Steel Metallurgical Corporation plant in North Chicago were fed up with management and decided they wanted to form a union. In an attempt to weaken support and intimidate workers, the company bosses sent their spies to union meetings and they refused to negotiate. Frustrated with these tactics, 95 workers seized control of 2 of the company's buildings and sat down. Strike-breaking police attempted to dislodge the workers with tear gas, but the workers held fast and stayed in the building for more than a week until police chased them out. 37 workers were convicted on criminal charges, although there had been no damage to the factory property. The striking workers were fired and replaced by the company. The workers took their case to the National Labor Review Board, claiming that Fan Steel had violated the workers' rights to unionize as guaranteed under the National Labor Relations Act. They argued the sit-down strikers should get their jobs back. The board ultimately found in favor of the workers. Appeals by the company brought the case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The court ruled the sit-down strikers were out of bounds, and their actions amounted to an illegal usurpation of private property. Thus, good cause to fire the workers. With this one ruling, the court undercut one of the most powerful tactics workers had available to them, which helped build the modern labor movement in the United States. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on the Twitters at Labor History in 2.
It's time for Nicole Sandler's What's News from NicoleSandler.com and the Progressive Voices Network.
Wednesday, February 27th, 2019 will likely be a day for the history books. Split screens and popcorn abound as our nation's attention is divided between Michael Cohen's public testimony in which he promises explosive proof that Donald Trump is a, quote, racist, conman, and a cheat, and Vietnam, where Trump's actions will amount to the U.S. recognizing North Korea as a nuclear state. Let's begin with Michael Cohen, who on Tuesday evening released his 20-page opening statement. CNN's Don Lemon reading from it.
I recognize that some of you may doubt and attack me on my credibility. It is for this reason that I have incorporated into this opening statement documents that are irrefutable and demonstrate that the information you will hear is accurate and truthful. These documents include a copy of a check Mr. Trump wrote from his personal bank account after he became president to reimburse me for the hush money payments I made to cover up his affair with an adult film star and prevent damage to his campaign. He asked me to pay off an adult film star with whom he had an affair and to lie to his wife about it, which I did. I am giving the committee today a copy of the $130,000 wire transfer from me to Ms. Clifford's attorney during the closing days of the presidential campaign that was demanded by Ms. Clifford to maintain her silence about her affair with Mr. Trump. This is Exhibit 4 in my testimony.
He's got receipts?
Exhibit 5 of the testimony shows I am providing a copy of the $35,000 check that President Trump personally signed from his personal bank account on August 1, 2017, when he was president of the United States, pursuant to the cover-up, which was the basis of my guilty plea to reimburse me, the word used by Mr. Trump's TV lawyer for the illegal hush money I paid on his behalf. This $35,000 check was one of 11 check installments that was paid throughout the year while he was president. The president of the United States thus wrote a personal check for the payment of hush money as part of a criminal scheme to violate campaign finance laws. You can find the details of that scheme directed by Mr. Trump in the pleadings in the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of New York.
Yeah, so this is going to be devastating,
wow,
to say the least.
But there's more. Cohen will also say that Roger Stone, quote, was talking with Julian Assange about a WikiLeaks drop of DNC emails, and more. Cohen spent all day Tuesday testifying before a closed hearing of the Senate Intelligence Committee. When he emerged, he went before the microphones.
First of all, I want to thank you all for sticking around and waiting for me. At this point in time, I really appreciate the opportunity that was given to me to clear the record and to tell the truth. And I look forward to tomorrow, to being able to, in my voice, to tell the American people my story. And I'm going to let the American people decide exactly who's telling the truth.
One of Trump's top defenders, Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida, actually threatened Michael Cohen on Tuesday, tweeting, "Hey, Michael Cohen, do your wife and father-in-law know about your girlfriends? Maybe tonight would be a good time for a chat. I wonder if she'll remain faithful when you're in prison. She's about to learn a lot." After criticism from Nancy Pelosi, Gaetz apologized and deleted the tweet. The Cohen hearing will likely overshadow the Trump-Kim meeting, where officials are hoping Trump doesn't give away too much for nothing in return.
Donald Trump is apparently alone among members of his own government in believing North Korea is no longer a nuclear threat. Most experts can't really imagine the secretive, duplicitous, dark state ever really doing that. Sources tell NBC News the U.S. could offer incentives to North Korea, like negotiating a formal end to the Korean War, easing minor sanctions, and opening up a bare-bones diplomatic outpost. Two of our own journalists, Carol Lee and Courtney Kuby, who covers the Pentagon for us, report this, quote, some senior Trump administration officials and others involved in the negotiations are worried that establishing diplomatic outposts and agreeing to an end of a war declaration, in addition to a second presidential meeting for Kim, would amount to de facto U.S. recognition of North Korea as a nuclear state.
But wait, there's more. The House of Representatives Tuesday night voted 245 to 182 to block Trump's national emergency declaration. 13 Republicans, including former members of leadership Greg Walden and Kathy McMorris Rodgers, voted to overturn the declaration. This on a day when the top U.S. General for Homeland Defense testified that there is no military emergency on the southern border. The Senate will vote on the resolution blocking Trump's national emergency declaration within 18 days. 4 Republicans are needed to vote with the Democrats for it to pass. 3 have already signed on. The House on Wednesday is also expected to vote on a bipartisan universal background checks bill, and it's expected to pass. And just in case you needed something more to worry about, Pakistan's Air Force says it shot down 2 Indian warplanes after they crossed the boundary between the 2 nuclear-armed rivals in the disputed territory of Kashmir. An Indian pilot was reportedly captured. And that's just a bit of what's news for now. I'm Nicole Sadler. If you appreciate these reports and the Nicole Sadler Show, I hope you'll consider making a contribution. My work is 100% listener supported, and I can't do it without your help. Find out more at NicoleSandler.com/donate.
From UN headquarters, I'm Luke Vargas with your World in 2 minutes. The Indian military claims to have destroyed a major terrorist training camp in Pakistan early on Tuesday morning, saying some 350 terrorists were killed in a series of cross-border airstrikes that lasted more than 20 minutes. India accuses Pakistan of harboring the terror group Jaish-e-Muhammad, which carried out a brazen Valentine's Day attack that killed 40 Indian soldiers in the disputed region of Kashmir. Pakistan denies any responsibility for that attack and has a very different account of Tuesday's events, saying Indian planes spent just 4 minutes in Pakistani airspace and, after being intercepted by Pakistani jets, released their payloads on a forested hillside. While both accounts can't be true, Gareth Price, a senior research fellow for the Asia-Pacific program at the London think tank Chatham House, isn't certain that matters.
On the Pakistan side, they're saying that they scrambled their jets, some Indian bombs landed in a forest, a few trees fell down, and that was what happened. And they have some pictures showing that. India has some pictures of the terrorist training camp, which they say they destroyed. And in the sort of jingoistic social media world that we're in, everyone's happy with their interpretation of events.
So does that mean the recent flare-up in tensions between India and Pakistan has peaked? Not necessarily. A spokesperson for Pakistan's military threatened Tuesday India should expect a military retaliation in the form of a surprise, though he notably stopped short of mentioning possible use of the country's nuclear weapons. Despite the heat of the moment, Price thinks both India and Pakistan can stop short of a major escalation and return to a state that, while it hardly looks like peace, is a far cry from nuclear war.
I'd imagine we go back to the situation where there is more shelling across the border. And it's kind of manageable. It's not obviously the ideal situation, but it happens, and it's happening to satisfy domestic audiences. And India and Pakistan have proven that they can carry on at that level for some time.
Luke Vargas, The United Nations.
Thank you for accompanying us here to the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. We always begin weather from around the world along the banks of the Rogue River in the Rogue River Valley of southern Oregon on the west coast of the continental United States of America, where it is currently 33 degrees Fahrenheit. We're looking at a high of about 40 to 41. We'll see about how high that will really go. We have a lot of snow still in the area on the ground, piled up. Some of it slushy. We are expecting rain showers with let's see here. Looks like a little bit less than a half an inch, so that's quite a bit. And it should be tapering off for tonight because we're going to have a low of 24. And then tomorrow, it looks like we'll have a little bit of a drying out period, though a small percentage of a possibility of rain. Winds are light and variable out of the north-northwest. They will shift in just a couple of hours out of the west proper and increase at 5 to 10 miles per hour, bringing with it showers, and we'll see how much of the snow melts away from that. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Once again, the rain will taper off tonight. It looks like we'll have, like I said, an overnight low of 24 and a 20% possibility of precipitation, which would then be icy. Let's see. Pollen is rated at none. The air quality index is moderate and not healthy for people with breathing problems at 60 parts per million. And the daytime UV index is low at 2. Barometric pressure is holding steady at 29.52 inches. Visibility is down to 3 miles. And relative humidity is 100%. So we got that going for us, which is nice. You know, weather from around the world is brought to you by people's personal weather stations that they purchased. And these people not planted, they put them, but they planted these personal purchased weather stations somewhere on their property, and these people positively live around the world. So that's how we get this weather from around the world. London is 66 and sunny. Paris is 70 and sunny. Rome is 70 degrees and sunny as well. Kiev is 37 and mostly cloudy. Kabul is 24 and clear. Hong Kong, 66 degrees and cloudy. Tokyo is 45 with rain. Sydney, Australia is 72 degrees and partly cloudy. San Francisco, California is 54 degrees and mostly cloudy. And New York is 27 degrees Fahrenheit with a snow shower. Well, that may have tapered off, but you're getting snow today, aren't you, New York? Well, that is weather from around the world, brought to you by people's personal weather stations that they purchased. These people planted these purchased personal weather stations somewhere on their property, and these people positively live around the world. Anonymous worker bees at Reuters brings us this first amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. The U.S. military disrupted the internet access of a Russian troll farm accused of trying to influence American voters on November 6th of 2018, the day of the congressional elections. The Washington Post reported yesterday. The U.S. Cyber Command strike targeted the Internet Research Agency in the Russian port city of St. Petersburg, and that was cited by unidentified U.S. officials, those kind. The group is a Kremlin-backed outfit whose employees had posed as Americans and spread disinformation online in an attempt to also influence the 2016 election. Ask them who lost the 1948 World Series, and if they don't answer correctly, you know they're the enemy. They basically took the Internet Research Agency offline, the Post quoted one person familiar with the matter as saying they shut them down. Good for that. The Pentagon Cyber Warfare Unit, which works closely with the NSA, said it did not comment on cyberspace operations, but would continue to defend our elections and democratic institutions from foreign malign influence. Well, good for them. Cyber Command's offensive operations are highly classified and rarely made public. And we have to make them public now because we got a spy right there in the Oval Office, though he's over in Vietnam right now trying to sell out America some more, in this reporter's opinion. Prosecutors have said that the agency was one of 3 entities and 13 Russian individuals indicted by Special Counsel Robert Mueller's office in 2018 of February in a criminal and espionage conspiracy to tamper with the U.S. presidential race. Prosecutors said the agency is controlled by Russian businessman Evgeny Prigozhin, who U.S. officials have said has extensive ties to Russia's military and political establishment. You mean he's friends with Putin? He's a chef. Because Mueller has dubbed Putin's cook by the Russian media because his catering business has organized banquets for Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, since Donald Trump was elected president, the report said, Russian trolls have put out messages urging Mexican-American and other Hispanic voters, for instance, to mistrust U.S. institutions. Well, you know, we don't need the Russians to do that for us, and you can always tell when they do.
Je te donne ce mon amour pour la vie entière. La promesse de me trouver à tes genoux. Aussitôt que tu m'appelles, rester toujours fidèle. C'est tout, c'est tout. Je te donne tous mes printemps, mes étés de mer. Mes automnes, quand les feuilles tombent partout. Si ce n'est pas une bonne affaire, je te donne tous mes hivers, c'est tout.
Matthew Chapman of Alternet brings us this final amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Well, recently elected Colorado Governor Jared Polis told The Hill... What the hell? That he would be signing a bill to bring Colorado into the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, a measure that would effectively abolish the Electoral College and elect the president by popular vote. Well, we can't have that. That would be ruled by the mob. I've long supported electing the president by who gets the most votes. Would that be something? The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact holds that each member state will award its electors to the presidential candidate who wins the nationwide popular vote, but it will only take effect once the total number of electors from all the member states is greater than 270. The number needed to win the presidential election. Colorado previously attempted to join the pact in 2006, but the bill died in the State House. So far, 11 other states and Washington, D.C. are signatories for a total of 172 electoral votes. Adding Colorado brings the total to 181. All of the states that have signed on so far are blue states, but multiple red states, including Arizona, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, have passed the bill in at least one legislative chamber. Michigan and North Carolina have also considered the measure. Well, of course, we know that the Electoral College has long been criticized as a problematic system. For one thing, 2 out of the last 5 presidential elections gave the most electors to the losers of the popular vote, who happen to be Republicans, by the way. For another, the Electoral College effectively disenfranchises liberal voters in red states and conservative voters in blue ones, as every state except Maine and Nebraska award their electors in a winner-take-all basis. In fact, the Electoral College eliminates nearly any incentive post-primary for presidential candidates to travel to any state where the winner is assured. In 2016, 95% of campaign events were held in just the 12 battleground states, and 24 solidly red and blue states did not see a single campaign event at all. Well, the action that Polis will take America one step closer to enacting a fairer, more equitable electoral system, but the fight is only getting started. And start it we must, otherwise it only takes longer every day we delay. That brings us to the end of our broadcast period for the day, and you know the Netroots Radio is broadcasting on. Hartman's going to be reporting probably live from the House Committee with Cohen's testimony, so stay tuned for that. And we'll be back here tomorrow for Metro Shrimp and Grist Thursdays, so stay tuned to Netroots Radio 24/7, 365 for all the breaking news as it breaks. And we'll meet up here tomorrow, right here on West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ma robe à fleurs sous la pluie de novembre. Tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte Goël. Je voudrais toujours te plaire dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je veux déjeuner par terre comme au long de golfe clair. T'embrasser les yeux ouverts dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ma robe à fleurs sous la pluie de novembre. Tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver.